Alrighty, I think we're good to go. Let me just check real quick. And today we have Konstantin who is here with us. And hey, yay, Konstantin is back and in a new place. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about that. So, but I'll also let you give a quick intro before we get started with your script today. So, tell us a little bit about what's going on lately.
Are we live already?
Hold on a second. Yeah, we should be. Hold on a second. Yeah, we're good.
All right. Hi, Bianca. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Konstantin. I am a Russian journalist, but I work in English. I report news in English, so that's why I've been trying to improve my pronunciation and overall my mastery of this language for a lot of time. Right now, I am in China. This is where I'm going to be living and working in the foreseeable future. Again, as a news reporter for an international broadcast company, RT. And today I have a script, one of my most recent scripts. It's about the visit of opposition leader to China, which is kind of big deal for those who are kind of following the stuff that's happening in this part of the world. So
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, it's timely. It's exactly what's happening now. It's very interesting, I think, to a lot of people too. And now that you're there as I guess you'd be called a foreign correspondent now. I guess that would be your title since you're there in country, right?
yeah, foreign
I,
correspondent.
th- I
Yeah,
think
I
so. I
guess.
think so. We'll check on that. But other side note for everybody who's watching, maybe watching this live or watching later, there could be connectivity issues, right? So it could be that things drop out. Could be the audio. There's a bit of a lag. Not bad, but we can totally work with this. So yay! I'm excited for you. And let me share the screen. I've got already copy and pasted the script. But before we do that, is there anything in particular that you have on your mind lately that you want us to focus on? Because I know we always find stuff and really interesting things to talk about. But is there anything already that you're thinking about?
Sure. Actually, I've been humming quite a lot lately, because of what we did last time when you taught me this practice where you hum something in order to stretch the vowels and play with the pitch a little bit and make it more rich and interesting. So that's what I've been doing lately. I've tried to incorporate some of that in my readings, in my script presenting. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
if you can track some of that progress, if there is progress,
Absolutely.
I'd really appreciate it.
Oh, this is such a good that's a good way to like kind of recap one of the last sessions. I think it was the last one is we were talking about vowel length, right? Which correlates to syllable stress and then rhythm as well. So it's a really interesting and simple technique that anybody can do. So instead of reading words out loud, you would hum them. And if anybody doesn't know the verb hum, it's like when you forget the words of a song and you go and you can really then think like, "Oh my god, I'm so flat. My pitch is flat," or "I can't tell which is the stressed syllable." So this is a really good technique, and it's exciting that you've been working on it too. And now that you mention it, as soon as you said that, I was thinking like, yeah, you are sounding a bit more melodic, and we haven't even warmed up or anything. So I bet it is really doing something, right? Super interesting. Cool. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll just then see what comes up. I know in the past, not too long ago, a couple of our other live sessions, like we were thinking about the ends of words, especially like a final S and how it should be a Z sound. We've been thinking of ed endings too, and if it's the past and a regular verb, things like that. So watch the ends of the words as well, and let's see what else comes up. Then, are you ready to go? All right, perfect, perfect. So I'm just gonna put the on
Yes, let's
screen
go.
on the screen. I'm just gonna say here we've got this script here, and I'm gonna be making notes kind of as we go. And so hopefully people are can see this. If not, I can always copy and paste it into the description. So we're looking for two things just to tell everybody. We're looking for pronunciation, which is vowels and consonants, and then like for the example, the intonation, we're thinking of what's called prosody, so the music behind the words. We never know what we're going to find. Let's get started. The first line is for the first time. Start there.
For the first time in more than a decade, one of Taiwan's top political leaders is making a high-level visit to mainland China. That alone makes this a major moment in cross-strait relations. Chang Li-won, chairwoman of the Kuomintang and leader of Taiwan's current opposition, is on a 6-day trip she calls a peace mission.
Ooh, let's pause there because, like, I don't know what else you've been doing lately, my friend, but this was like awesome.
Certified
This
badass.
was this was wow, blew me away. This was so good for like the first thing. Usually that first sentence, that first
Thank
paragraph,
you.
it's like oh, people are just getting warmed up, right? Their mouth is kind of like sloppy, but no, very articulate, really on point. I would say the syllables are popping. Sounded great. In fact, this word more, that a lot of people will, I don't want to say mispronounce, but it's off just a little bit, right? And but you had it really
Uh-huh.
on point, and I want to explain that for everybody if that's okay. So this letter O, and O is the worst, by the way, the worst of all the letters in English. When you see O, it could be about 10 different sounds. This one, in fact, is the aw as in bought, right? So it's aw, bought. My jaw is pretty far open, aw, which a lot of people don't have in their first language or second language or other languages, right? And they just have kind of an oh, which is much smaller. So people need to open their jaw more, but ching. And then the other thing is there's an R after it, which is already difficult for some people, but going from aw and then raising the tongue so the sides touch the molars, that's kind of asking a lot. We tend to cut corners, so it doesn't usually come out right. But as soon as I heard that, I was like, damn, boy, that was really, really good. So first of all, these words that have or, like or, more, for, store, these ones really let your jaw open widely. This is for everybody else. Open your jaw widely and then move the tongue up. You don't have to move the jaw up after that. That's how you can get that really good sound there. I'm going to mark it for everybody just so that they know it's this backwards looking C character, right? For people who don't know what that looks like, that's the one we're talking about here. It's a letter O is always difficult, and when it's this sound, people have a hard time with it. So I wanted to stop and say, like first of all, let's give another round of applause because that's a tough one, and it was really, really well done. So yes, this is
Thanks.
fantastic. Yes, I want to listen to again. Speaking of the letter O, right? Let's look at these two words, TOP and POLITICAL. There's two O's kind of right in a row, and I want you to say that little phrase again, keeping in mind which of the O sounds should it be. So let's hear you say that one again, not to mess you up, but just to see what's your natural choice.
Top political leaders.
There we
Top
go.
political.
There we go. That second O last time was a little bit off, and I was like, is he hesitating? Does he not know what sound it is? Right? There we go. So this O is ah as in box. Ah, top. Perfect. And this one is
Oh, yeah.
our friend the schwa. So it's political. Political, right? And before you're like ah was good, but then the second one wasn't. So I wanted to do a quick test there because yeah, perfect. Fantastic. Strangely enough, last one in this paragraph, we've got moment, but it wasn't the O that I was thinking about. Say this word again, and I am thinking of vowels this time.
Moment.
If you had to guess, or if you had to choose, let's say, this letter E, which sound is in your head? Maybe by the symbol or another word with the same one. Any thoughts?
Moment. I'd say it's just a schwa. It's
Just
reduced to schwa 'cause
okay,
it's
just
not stress.
perfect. I'm going to share the dictionary right now just to show everybody how we look it up. Like if we're not sure or if we're like, it's kind of in between. Because your mouth, you're saying schwa. And I heard kind of a short E, right? So you were right. It is short. I was going to say short schwa. Doesn't exist. It was schwa. So it's munt. I was hearing mint, like the flavor, right? So keep in mind when I'm like,
Moment.
schwa is exactly. And short I, as we like to call it, is right? So that's all tongue position. I'm explaining this for everybody. The schwa is tongue in the middle, but the same jaw height, and my lips are relaxed for both. Schwa, move the tongue forward, mint, mint, right? So that's what I wanted to point out because before you were back and forth, maybe it was kind of in the middle, and I thought, which one do you think it's supposed to be, and which are you recognizing which one you're doing? So let's do a quick little exercise. Let's take both of those, schwa and short I, and do like me. Contrast the two. Say munt, mint, munt, mint, being aware of your tongue position.
Mint, 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 mint.
Perfect. A little
Mint,
more forward. Mint, mint.
mint.
Touch, really touch the
Mint,
bottom teeth.
mint,
There we go.
mint,
Mint,
mint.
mint. Yes.
Mint, mint.
Oh, now they're sounding the same.
Mint,
Munt,
mint.
mint. Yes, there we go. Munt, mint. Munt, mint.
Mint, mint,
eh.
mint.
There we go.
Mint, mint.
Yes, exactly.
Moment.
Moment. I'm telling you too. For a side note, for anybody who doesn't know this resource, I'm gonna go to one. It's called Youglish, by the way. It's like YouTube and English together. I don't know if you guys know, but the cool thing is, look, you can choose what accent they're in. Supposedly, it's all self-reported. But if you pick a word like this, moment, and I look it up and I say, oh, you know what? I just want U.S. accents, right? I'm gonna pause it for a second. I swear to you, if you were to listen to this, and there are almost 200,000 examples of this word in YouTube, it just scrapes it right up, then you're gonna hear a lot of short I's. So you probably picked it up that way. You probably heard a lot of people saying moment, mint, mint, moment, moment, moment. But we said since you're
so some people do say.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Now, yeah, native speakers. And the way you can check is go to Youglish, see what people are saying, at least on YouTube. You can get a pretty decent idea. I would put money on the fact that you're going to hear munt. You're hearing mint probably too. Munt and mint. So you probably just picked it up. And that's why I said, let's point this out because it's a fairly highly frequent word. And so let's just talk about it for a second. Right? So does that make sense? You're saying mint. A lot of people do.
Yeah, good point.
Because of your job, like, let's say, what am I supposed to say? Right? What does the dictionary tell me to say? So makes sense, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's do the second paragraph then. Let's go back, and I am going to mark that little schwa right there. And Okay, so let's start with ahead of the visit. Go ahead.
Ahead of the visit, her party released a 60-second AI-generated video, drawing immediate backlash from opponents back home. The clip shows calm, everyday scenes, widely interpreted as a political message. Let's avoid confrontation with Beijing and opt for stability instead.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, again, on fire today, man. On fire. Very nice. I marked this one in yellow just to talk about it real quick, because I don't know. This is a mistake you used to make a lot, and a lot of people do too. Think about the word, the door is open. What's the opposite of open? It starts with a C, the one I'm looking for. Yeah, there we go. Close.
Yeah, close.
There's a letter S that sounds like a Z, right? Close. But now let's talk about the opposite of far. And it's the same word, by the way. What's the word I'm looking for?
That one is close. Yeah,
close. Where the S is unvoiced, right? So what a lot of people do, and that's two different meanings, right? Two different words there. But a lot of people will take an S that's in the middle of a word, like release, and they might know, oh yeah, that's like a snake, it's unvoiced. But then when they put something after it and that S is kind of buried in the middle, they sometimes voice it to released. Do you see what I'm saying? Sometimes people do that, and that's something you used to do quite a lot, if I remember correctly. And so if we go to the dictionary, sometimes in some words it's there. Actually, let me take the ed ending off as we're showing this. And sometimes it's there, and you might get two choices because it's kind of archaic and people say the Z and sometimes the S still, but sometimes it's not anymore. It's not common at all. So here's an example of A. You're not making this mistake anymore. High five. That's fantastic. You used to say released, and now you are saying release. But to bring up the point that sometimes people still do this, and sometimes some words, like it still is kind of out there and people are doing it enough that it's in the dictionary that way. But there's a vast majority of the words where people are still saying the Z in the middle when they're not supposed to. Does that make sense? So nicely done. It's a mistake that I know you used to make with some other words. And I was like, ooh, clean. That was nice. Yeah. Fantastic. All right, cool. Now, there's two more. There's two more. One is a question in my mind. No, two more and a question in my mind. So first, this one. I know that there's an L there. It's supposed to be silent, right? It's supposed to be silent. C-A-L-M or W-A-L-K. There's a bunch of old silent L's now that didn't used to be silent. But what if I said, say this word again, but put in a little bit of a dark L in there? I like to call it the ghost of dark L because it's like not a true dark L, but we can still hear it. And it sounds a little bit better. Can you try that? C-A-L-M, by the way.
Calm. Calm.
So think about two things. Here we go. Oh, it is in there. Good. Think about COMM, right?
Calm.
For example, yeah, I'm a soldier. I'm in a war zone, and I want to say the word communication, but I want to say, my walkie-talkie or whatever it is they're using these days. COMM, calm, no dark L in there at all. And then this one, where that L used to be pronounced, and now there's like a bit of dark L left, right? So look at these two. This is the perfect example. See if you can say one clearly without a dark L, and the other one with a dark L in there. See if you can try that.
Calm.
Get your tongue back just a little more. Calm. Like I'm gonna call you.
Calm.
There we go. Calm.
I'm gonna calm.
There we go. Yes. What's the difference here? And this is an exercise just to see if we can do it. But the first one, my tongue is going back. Let me actually get the big mouth. We haven't pulled that out today. So we've got this big dentist's mouth. And that A that looks like a bubble in a stick, that kind of A, it's a back A. So my tongue is coming back. This is for people who don't know. My K is already in the back. Ka. I'm going to let it drop. Ka. And then what? My M is just my lips. So my tongue doesn't need to move. It's calm. Say it that way, as if I were saying COMM. Yeah, there we go. Calm. And then my mouth just closes up. My lips close on that, right? And then the other one, I'm going to add a little something there. And for people who don't know dark L, this is like a weird trick, but it totally works. I don't know if I've ever told you this. There's two ways to get a good dark L if it's not in your first language or if it's slightly different. Because I think tell me if I'm right about this or wrong about this. I think in Russian, you have two kinds of L's. You have soft and hard, you call them, or something like that, right? How do you call your two L's?
Yeah, soft and solid.
Solid. Okay,
But
perfect.
still they're not dark L like
I
you
was
have.
just gonna ask. Okay,
It's
perfect.
too back there.
Okay, that was going to be my next question is you have two different kinds of L's, but for you, what's the difference between like, let's call it like a light and a solid one? I forget how you called it. But if you were to describe the difference in Russian to me, to try to teach me, how would you say, is it just pressure? Like it's in the same place, but I'm pushing harder, or is there something else?
It's the tongue position. So with the light L, it's more of a up there, the upper palate.
Okay.
And with the strong L, the tongue is around my teeth.
Oh, interesting.
Back
So
of
it
my
is.
teeth.
So it's tongue position, and in
Ooh.
both cases, I'm hearing that the L is in the front of the mouth. The work is happening in the front of the mouth. Is that right for you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you have two L's, but we have a different kind of L, and we call it dark. Why dark? I don't know. But for everybody who doesn't know, you're gonna pull the back of your tongue back and kind of down. That's where the work is happening. And there's two tricks that they're horrible, but they work every time. Number one, if anyone's having trouble with a dark L, imagine somebody kind of comes behind you and just like chokes you a little bit, right? What are you going to do? What's your throat going to do naturally? It's going to like, oh, I need some air, right? And it's going to try to position its tongue in a way that it's clearing the air passage, right? So if you press a little bit on your Adam's apple, you'll have a reaction and your tongue will go in the perfect place. guaranteed. So calm. If I do that, I'm
Oh.
going to get a really good dark L. That's number one.
Oh.
Another way that always works is also not very pleasant to think about is if I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Like I know you got food poisoning recently. If you feel like you're gonna throw up and you're like, "Ooh, ooh," right? If you make that noise, you're like, what is my tongue doing right now? It's clearing a passage.
Oh.
And
Oh.
that is where the
Oh.
dark L sound comes from, right? Call. Now pretend you're gonna throw up and say calm, calm.
Calm.
Ah, see, perfect,
Calm. We can
perfect.
go. We can go with something even more distinct, like
Okay.
school,
Yes.
like
Uh,
cool, right?
cool.
Cool.
School. Yeah. Cool.
Oh, I'm
School.
cool.
I'm cool.
Cool.
Exactly. Uh huh.
Oh, I'm
I used to.
cool.
I used to
I'm
think of
cool.
this. I'll call you. Right. Any of those dark L's.
Call.
Uh
Hmm.
huh. Think. And to me, the vomiting one works really really well, like a charm. And then so that's what it is. That's how to do it. A nice little trick for people who don't know, okay, well, which L's are dark? Because look, we're looking at the dictionary right now, and I don't see a dark L symbol, which, by the way, it looks like this. So in my app that I had made and I use, a dark L, we had it put in there because yeah, the dictionaries just don't do that. It looks like an L, but it's got that little swipe, that little tilde we call it in there. That's a dark L symbol. But a lot of dictionaries don't use it, so you might not think like, okay, well, I don't know where to put it at the end of a word for sure. And I like to put it at the end of a syllable too. If you have an L that's at the end of a syllable, go ahead and do that dark L, if nothing else, just for practice. How do we do it? Pretend you're throwing up, right? So makes sense, right? That whole little dark L thing.
Oh, that's actually, let me tell you, this is a very nice trick because I've watched a lot of videos on how to make a dark L, and usually the explanation is not that straightforward. Here, it's pretty straightforward.
Oh.
You're being choked, or you're you throw up.
it,
Now now I like, felt it
oh, awesome.
really,
It
the
works
tongue.
and it's memorable, right? You're never gonna forget that,
Yeah,
right? Absolutely. And I remember
it is.
the first time I thought of that, and I'm like, oh my god, that works. That I was hearing a teenager saying he didn't want to go to school, la, 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 school, la, la, la. And I was like, no, that's a dark L. And I was like, you hate school, right? You hate it. It makes you want to throw up. And he's like, yeah. And so he said, oh, I don't want to go to school. And forever since, right? It's memorable. You can always remember that. And people say, well, okay, but where's the dark L? Definitely end of a word practice it, but here's the other thing. At the end of a syllable, that's another
Mhm.
opportunity to practice a bunch, right? So keep that in mind. We'll keep that up. And yeah, now your L's are going to be really good because your R's are great too. Speaking of which, look at this next one. I'm looking at this word. It starts with I. And think about how many syllables. Your syllable stress has been great today. We said the music of the vowels, the intonation, everything's been great today. Do just this one word and think about syllable stress and vowel length. And let's hear that again.
Interpreted.
There we go. How many syllables?
Interpreted. Four? Is it
Question mark?
four?
Definitely four. Yeah, yeah. Four with no question mark, right? And people, and I don't know how this is in Russian or other languages, but yeah, sometimes people are like, oh, but that's a half a syllable, right? But syllables are whole numbers, right? And why does it keep going to the source when we try to do this? Oh, I know. Because it's not, sometimes the dictionary doesn't like it when you put it in past tense or in plural or something like that. So here we go. We can see without the ed, it's three. And with the ed, some people think, oh, ed, it's like it's just a half a syllable, or ing, it's just like it's not really a full syllable. Yes, they're full syllables, right? And they're never gonna be. I say never, but somebody will contradict me. They're never gonna be ed or ing endings. They're not gonna be the stress syllable, right? But do give them their like do worth, I guess is how I want to say it. So interpreted, we know the is the stressed syllable. You're going to do it longer, louder, and higher, but we don't need to diminish anybody else. We don't need to demote them because we don't have anything with secondary stress here. It's either stressed or it's not, right? Sometimes there is secondary stress, but not here. So let's do that one again and make sure your ed ending is just as normal as your in or the prit. Interpreted, pritted. Those two should be equal. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yes, yes, uh-huh.
Okay.
So widely interpreted.
Yeah, there we go.
Widely interpreted.
Interpreted, pritted. Yeah,
Interpreted.
don't drop that last syllable. In so many languages, that last like syllable or those last sounds, they're not important. But in English, super important. That tells us, is it past? There's grammatical knowledge there. Is it still happening, or was it progressive? Is it plural or singular? The ends of the syllables the ends of the words we shouldn't be dropping, right? You might think it's an afterthought, but definitely not in English. So that's that one. Watch any ed endings or ing endings where it is an extra syllable. Of course, on the whole, fabulous. And one thing is a question before we do the last paragraph. In this one, the name of the city, do you say zh as in television, or do you say j like juice or jeans or January? I'm asking this because I don't know how it should be said, and since you're there now, I think we should probably choose one. Do you happen to know like which one that sounds more close or closer, I should say, or standard?
I was actually wanted to ask you what's the consensus in American English, because
Mm,
I keep hearing both. Some people say Beijing, Beijing,
yeah,
and I hear people say Beijing.
me too.
I say Beijing because that's how I first heard it.
Okay.
Uh,
Hmm.
what are you saying? So it's
Good
one of those
question.
cases where both
I hear
options are
both.
good. Just you have to stick with
Let's
one.
let's see. So I'm looking at
Mm,
I like
double check.
dictionary.com. You could probably find a dictionary that says whatever you want, but I like this one. This is j as in juice. Now this is very interesting. So let's say j
Beijing.
as in juice, right? Let's say it's which is voiced, by the way. It's an interesting sound. It's called an affricate. It means I stop and then I have friction. J, 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 Beijing. According to this dictionary, right? So there's what does the dictionary say? What do the people in your field say? What's, like you said, the consensus there? One other thing though, before we kind of talk about that, look at this. We hardly ever see it. Obviously, it's a borrowed word. It's a name. Double primary stress. Well, we almost
Mm,
never see that. So
mm.
so here's a weird little unicorn. So it's da 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 da. Like sometimes we get a compound noun that way. Beijing,
Ah,
Beijing. So since we were just talking about stress, there's no secondary
Beijing.
stress. Yeah, da 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 da. According to this. But tell us, because I think you've been studying Chinese, right? And tell us, how's that been going for you? And do you happen to know the name in Chinese?
Oh yeah. Well, in Chinese it's Beijing,
Oh.
Beijing, and they do put stress on both parts of the word, and they actually tend to stress every individual part of a word.
Mm-hmm.
There,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it looks like there's no. I'm still in the early stages, but they definitely stress more. Yeah,
Oh, this will be
Beijing.
interesting. Yeah, this will be interesting to hear how that's coming along for you, because I've never taken any classes or anything in Chinese, but from what I know from the outside, it is a syllable stress timed language, so the syllables are going to be more regulated in terms of like you won't hear a lot of stress popping like you would in English, let's say, or even Russian for that matter. And it's much more, let's say, regulated. Kind of sounds like a machine gun, da 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 da. But it is tonal, so I am going to hear my tone, my intonation is going to rise in the syllables of the word, or fall, or I think there's four patterns. It's going to do something inside the word, whereas we generally think of intonation as on at the level of the phrase, right? And intonation is kind of a filter of, how do I feel about this? What do I want to tell the audience? What's my motivation, right? And it's a layer that I'm adding on it. Whereas in Chinese, I think that the intonation can change the word, right? So that's part of pronunciation, how you intonate it, right? So how you said the last part, right? You had this rising tone. That's because it's a tonal language, right? And if you were to go down or do something else, you might be saying a completely different word, like, I'm making this up, popcorn, or something like that. Who knows? So
Yeah, exactly.
so
Yeah,
keeping that in mind.
a
Yeah,
lot of nuances.
I was curious about your experience, but also, so like Youglish, you might take this later and pop in Beijing, right? and then see how people are saying it in the US, the UK, Australia, and just listen to a bunch of that, and then maybe see which one you prefer. And I would say pick it and stick to it, right? And have some consistency there. So see which one you like, see which one other colleagues maybe are saying, but keep that in mind. So I'm glad you were thinking like, oh, I'm going to ask about that too. Because yeah, I was like, I don't have the answer, but I can tell you how some considerations, before making your decision. So yeah, all of that so far. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, that's
Awesome. Okay, let's do the
interesting.
last
Yeah.
paragraph then. Oh, the same goes with, by the way, I should say, the same would go with any names of places, right? Like borrowed words, things like that. All those apply. And I say that because I see the next the next one of those words coming up. So let's do the next one. This is a little bit longer, but let's see if we can do the whole thing, and let's see if we can find anything.
All right. The Kuomintang, or Chinese Nationalist Party, once ruled all of China before losing the civil war to the Chinese Communists and retreating to Taiwan in 1949. It has never rejected the One China principle, which now, decades later, brings it closer to Beijing and China's Communist Party, its historical rival. The 1992 consensus Cheng Li Wun has mentioned many times ahead of this trip is a modern formula where the Kuomintang and the CCP sort of agree to disagree. Both sides reject Taiwan's independence, but sidestep the explosive question of who should actually govern in China.
There we go. Nice. All right. I know this is super, how should I say, super high cognitive load, because I think when you're with me you're like, oh, I'm really paying attention, I'm really thinking about these things, and I can see that, especially today when we started, I was like, whoa, this is so good. Now maybe it's taking a toll a little bit because you're making lots of little tiny, not even mistakes, but I would say oh, that's not as kind of on point as before. Because if we think about
Hmm.
vowels, for example, we say like, oh, here's the, what is a vowel sound? Jaw height, it's a formula. Jaw height plus lip shape plus tongue position, right? There's a formula for each one. And now I can kind of hear like, oh, one of these is maybe a little bit off, right? But I think that there's a cognitive load to doing these things, and after a while we get tired. So it's good that we just can do it like a chunk at a time, but really intensely, right? So I marked quite a few things here, but the first one I wanted to start with was something very interesting because we started with it at the beginning. This section that I kind of italicized, there's no,
Hmm.
how should we say, there's no comma, there's no word and, there's no parentheses, there's no dashes, yet you did something really interesting with your intonation, like we just mentioned, intonation, to do something. You had a grammatical purpose almost. So I want you to say this again and just do it like you did before. Something popped out and I want to see if people can pick it up. So actually let's start with the beginning of the sentence, which is the and let's go to the word trip, right? Can you read that again and just read it like you did before? Just see if we can hear it.
The, the 1992 consensus Cheng Li Won has mentioned many times ahead of this trip is a modern formula where the Kuomintang and the CCP sort of agree to disagree.
This is such a complex sentence. And do I see any commas here? No, and I'm not saying we need to. I see the word and as soon as I see what we call fanboys, for, and, but, nor, yet, so, when I see those words, I say, oh, I'm gonna do something with my intonation, right? So here, that's pretty obvious if you're used to it. And I know that you're a really good writer. Number one, you have a really good like voice. Even when you're writing a script, I can already like hear how you're gonna say it. So to point out to people that this is a very complex sentence, and the way that you're kind of parsing the parts of the sentence is by using your intonation, right? So I start with the subject. Well, the 1992 consensus, which one? The one this person has mentioned. But wait, we have to talk about it more. Has mentioned what? Many times. And when? Ahead of this trip. Whoa. Like there's a lot going on in that sentence, and that's just up to the word trip, right? So does it make sense? I'm saying, wow, you really have such a good way to write these things with your voice in mind. Does it make sense what I'm pointing out for everybody? And we might
Yep.
have, oh, good. Okay. I lost you for a second. So, okay. Yes. And I don't
I'm
know.
back.
Yeah, perfect. And I don't know, do you do that on purpose? Do you think ahead of time, as you're writing, do you think like, oh, my voice is going to go up here, my voice is going to go down? Do you think that ahead of time, or do you just kind of write out? I don't know. Does it happen at the same time? I guess that's my question. What's your process?
Uh, I guess it happens at the same time. This is just that part of the sentence that you utilized. It's just less important because it's just kind of it links back to what this person said in the soundbite before. So it's not that important. It's not new information. That's the thing. The new information is the consensus and what it means for the two parties.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Take all of
So
that we
you
just
you, you
said.
gotta.
Yeah, like a whole.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly what you said. I didn't even mention that. Take all of what you just said with all the different various details. All of that then becomes the subject. This whole thing is a modern formula. Boom. Right? So just to say, like, really interesting complex writing, and it doesn't trip you up. A lot of people who kind of write well, they don't always write it in a way that's then spoken fluidly, right? So like really, really, really awesome, and it just flows really nicely. So I wanted to start with that. So fabulous job. We haven't haven't had a lot of how should we say praise in the last few minutes. So for sure,
Certified badass.
Thanks.
you're the master at this. You're the master. Okay, so those little things that I was mentioning before, like I think there's just a cognitive effect here. So this might be something you know and you slipped, or it might be like, oh, I didn't really know that. I didn't really think about it. Remember the very first thing I said here today? More. Say that word again.
Or.
More. Hold on. More. More. Oh, lost him again. More. And then if you guys listen closely, some sounds where there's an R or an L afterwards, we tend to stick in. I like to call it a sneaky schwa. Remember earlier we were talking about the ghost of dark L, kind of? So before an R, see if you can hear the that little bit of an there. More, more. Some people can do it, and they just go more, and then they raise their tongue for the R. More, right? Totally doable. But most of us are going to stick like a little schwa in there because it aids in the transition. So more, that's before an R, and down here also before an L. So you did it the way that it's clean, it happens. You went ruled. There was no schwa in there. There was no baby schwa. Me, being a native speaker, I'm going to say ruled, right? So nothing wrong with how you said it, but how people will tend to do it, native speakers at least, and you will not see this in the dictionary. Before an R or an L, you're going to sometimes have what I like to call like a sneaky schwa in there. So I'm going to do it both ways, right? And see if you can do it both ways. Ruled. Try both.
Ruled, 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 ruled,
Old.
ruled,
Yeah, there you go. Let it in
ruled.
there. It eases the transition a little bit. Ruled, nothing wrong with it, but it's just a little bit to my native ears. It's like, oh, yeah, but I wouldn't say it that way. Ruled. Does that make sense?
Ruled, ruled,
Ruled. Yeah.
ruled.
If you were to throw that into Youglish and you were really listening for not a full schwa, but just a little baby schwa for the transition, you'd start hearing it, is my guess, right? So go ahead and let it slide because it sounds very natural. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it is easier with a baby schwa, of course.
Right? Yeah, that's why we do it. Like native speakers, we've been doing it for years. It just happens over time, but it's not like we teach it, in school. So school, there's another one. School, not only the dark L rule, but also there's that schwa in there. So if you think about it, yeah, it does make things easier. Rule, school, often with an oo and then an L, I'm gonna get that baby schwa. There's certain combinations, but just to say, let it slide. If you see an R or an L. Next one, just a point of discussion. We said earlier, close and close. What are the two that I'm thinking about here? If you know, one was with S and one is with Z. S and Z. Not that you made a mistake, but I think, oh, how funny, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, well, losing the Civil War. I'm pretty sure
Uh-huh.
I said that.
Yeah. Z, uh-huh.
Losing.
Lose. Is it Z or is
Yeah.
it S in this case?
Oh, it's certainly Z.
Oh,
Losing.
10 points. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes, yes. And the reason I say that because there is another word, right? My shirt is quite big. It's loose, loosing, losing,
Yeah.
loosing. And that's a mistake. You didn't make the mistake, but a lot of people do that, right? So there are certain words where that S or that
Losing.
Z could actually be another word, right? So this one is a Z in the middle. So you totally did it. I just wanted to point it out. Losing, losing. A lot of people see
Losing.
S-I-N-G and they think
Yeah.
sing, but no, it's zing, losing, 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 right? Absolutely. There's a rule of thumb we can say when an S is between two vowels. I'm gonna voice it. I'm gonna make a Z, right, in the middle of a word, and then we probably all know that at the end of a word, if there's a final S, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be voiced to a Z sound as well. But when it's in the middle, we don't always know, but most of the time between a vowel. So excellent, you passed the test. Next one. Thinking about that syllable stress, thinking about what we mentioned earlier about even if it's not the stressed syllable, unstressed syllables should be having about the same weight. Let's go from here, from it to the, and I'm interested in those words in yellow.
It has never rejected. It has never rejected. Never reject. Yeah, maybe I didn't pronounce the R in never.
A little bit,
That
yeah, a little bit. And I think
that
that's
much.
almost the result, though, of not having the syllable stress. So, pop quiz, there's 2 syllables here. Which one is stressed?
First one, never.
Great.
Never.
And the other word?
Rejected. The second.
All right. So now,
Rejected.
doing this again, yeah, I think the R wasn't there clearly, but I think it got same problem. It kind of got lost as the unstressed syllable, but it still needs to be pronounced. Now, think about for syllable stress, we're going to go back to like the last time we talked, what kicked all of this off. Pitch. Use your pitch and say, and hum it this time. Never rejected. Go ahead. There we go. Now say it with words and start with it has an end in the.
It has never rejected.
There we go. Never rejected. Never rejected. Right? Never rejected.
Rejected.
There we go.
Never rejected.
And it's
never
weird too.
Never.
2 things. Number 1, I'm starting high, right? When often in 2-syllable words, it's usually the second syllable. So I'm starting high, and then I go low, but then I stay low, and then go high. So it's da 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 da, right? Da 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 da. That's number 1. Number 2, you're gonna reject. No, you're gonna stress one of these words because it's more important than the other one. Is that true, or were you thinking to keep them on the same plane?
Yeah, I would stress rejected more than the other ones.
Which is interesting too, because normally if I have the word never, like that's a big deal, right? This never happened before, right? But I would do the same thing, and I almost can't even say why. I would stress the whole word more, right? So let's stretch that out. Same thing. So now, how does this complicate matters? Starting high, going low, but then I need to put this other word rejected up high. So even though it's unstressed, I'm going to start slightly higher. Never, I'm starting a little bit higher. Rejected, right? So take that whole word and put it a little bit higher, keeping what? Keeping the right syllable stress pattern. So keeping this lower. Try that one more time. Never rejected.
It has never rejected.
There we go. Yes, one more time.
It has never rejected.
There we go. There we go. So now we say, okay, I can pick out the stressed syllables, and I know that whole word is just a step up, right? It's just like a whole seat higher. So it's kind of an interesting, for many reasons, that phrase was just very interesting, and you probably weren't thinking about that before. But my guess is this construct is going to be really common, because you're going to point out a lot of stuff that's not common. It's never happened. It's da 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 da. So this is a really good like formula, I think, for this little thing. You know, does that make sense? What I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it does. So the pitch actually helps you to articulate better because it creates this elevation, right? Steps, little steps and big steps, and then like this, it just flows.
Exactly. So back to the humming, right?
More
Back to going to
ease.
the humming. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Back
And
to
humming,
Yeah,
humming gives
humming is
us
good.
lots of control over our pitch too, for people who haven't tried that technique as a technique for accent and pronunciation. Like, it gives you a lot more control, right? And then you say, oh, I don't have to worry about that. That's not the problem anymore. Then I'm thinking, is it my lips? Is it my tongue? What is it, right? So yeah, excellent. Keep going with that. And think about, like we said, maybe another time, maybe the word never is going to be the higher one, right? So keeping that in mind, what are going to be my alternatives here, right? Cool. Okay, next one. I got two more, and they're just little tiny vowels, because today, like, everything's been fantastic. We've just gotten little polishings here. So tell me this word. Go ahead.
Communist.
That was better. We don't see it, but there's a y in there. The first time I wasn't really hearing it. Communist. A lot of people say, and you did this a moment ago, there wasn't enough y in there, so it sounded like more like this. Communist. Popular. No,
Communist.
popular. We don't see it in there, but if you were to look it up, you're going to see the little y in there, right? Communist. So the second time was perfect. What we want to make sure is we've got consistency, and I'm guessing this is going to be a high frequency word for you now that you're living in China. So
It
yeah,
will be, yes.
let's do that again. I'm going to mark syllable stress just to make sure. Say it 3 times for me with the y and the syllable stressed.
Communist. Communist. Communist.
Perfect. And for everybody else who doesn't have that O that sounds like Oz and box, that was another perfect example of that. So fantastic. Okay, last one. My guess is that when you saw the word, it that L kind of tripped you up. It's O-U-L-D, and sometimes like it like gets in our head a minute. What sound would I put here if you had to give me something similar, or if you know the symbol? What vowel am I looking for here?
Yeah, it's like in book. Should.
Beautiful. Exactly. It looks like a little horseshoe. Book. It's a little horseshoe. Looks
Horseshoe,
like
yeah.
that. Okay, perfect. I think your brain was like trying to decide what to do. I think because we were just talking about dark L's recently, and here's a good case where I see that dark L and I'm thinking, okay, do I put a little ghosty dark L in there? Do I not? Is it totally gone now? This one's totally gone. So you look up should, would, could. In the past, we had all the L pronunciations. These have nothing left. So no dark L here. I'm gonna strike that out. You know what the verb should be. Now say it again. Forget about any kind of L. Should, could, should. First, let's start with that. Should.
Should.
Now let's do the ones that are always similar.
Should.
Should, could, would.
Should, could, would.
There we go. Should, could, would, right? Would, just like the tree. Should, could, would, right? No trace of L in there at all. No dark L whatsoever, right? So perfect. What was I going to say about that? There was something else. Who should. I know. Last thing I wanted to mention. We were talking about this word. Munt. Schwa, tongue in the middle. And we said, some people will do it with tongue in the front. Here's a good example of what's the difference between schwa in the middle and this as in book. Any thoughts? Small difference.
Should and schwa. But I don't know. Those are a little bit different. Those sounds are different. Should.
But they're super close, right? It's the same difference. It's the same difference
Kinda,
between
but also
and Go ahead.
I was just I wanted to say that your lips should be in a certain position when you go for and when you go with a schwa, your lips just do nothing. You just So
So
it should be should.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Should.
let me
Yeah.
simplify it then. So, because if you're thinking, oh, I got to do something with my lips, let me tell you, you don't have to do anything with your lips. Relax them. Those three:
Oh, really?
short I, schwa, and let's call it horseshoe for now, right? All of them have relaxed lips. Blah 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 blah. Right? The question is only. It's not even jaw height because your jaw's going to be the same height. It's purely tongue position. So if I start in the back, I do short I do schwa, and then I do horseshoe. It should be like uh, just try to pull it back. There's not much space back there. That's the problem. Schwa, like pull it back just a bit more. See if you can do that. Book. It's back just a little bit farther. That is the only difference, is going to be your tongue position, front, middle, or back. There's just not as much space. We feel the difference between short I and schwa. There's just more space there, but there's not much space there. And I'll give you a really good example of that. I'm going to just kind of write it at the top. It's not a word we use that often, except when we're talking about this. Let's say American intelligence agencies. What's the full name of this? Do you know?
Federal Bureau of Investigation.
It's that second word. Yeah, say it again.
Investigation.
No,
Bureau.
the second word. Sorry,
Bureau.
the B one. Yeah, exactly. Bureau. I think it's like the perfect example of this boot umbrella versus schwa sound, right? So if I look it up in the dictionary, it's because there's not a lot, but it's a good example. Bureau, right? Now I've got my y in there, but I've got bew. If I feel my tongue moving, I got it. Euro. If I'm just saying bureau, I'm 90% there, right? But if I can do this, I can distinguish both of them, and it's not in the lips, right? It's just the tongue, right? So just to have a little litmus test to see, like, do I know the difference? Can I do them together, right? Because a lot of times we don't hear the difference, and they are really, really close. So now let's do this. And why do I say that? Because I could reduce the words to schwa. So I could do it with the umbrella, the horseshoe, the book vowel, or I could do it with schwa. Let's see if you can do both. Should. Slightly more in the back. Final test of the day. See if you can do that.
Can you repeat it once again? So,
Of course, yeah. And I'm going to mark them both, too. And let me copy them, put them at the top so we can see them a little bit more clearly. And then I'll replace this horseshoe with a little schwa, and I'll put it up there so everybody can see it, hopefully a little more clearly. Tongue in the middle for the first one. Should. Should. Just tell me that one first. Schwa is your friend. Should. Right? Where's my tongue? Right in the middle. Should. Now, I'm thinking about when I go into a grocery store or something without an automatic door, and both of these words have my horseshoe, right? Pull, push. And I'm thinking about the effort. Pull or push. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm pushing a sofa or refrigerator, and it's much more effort. Think about that, and maybe your tongue will slide to the back where we want it. So now tell me, pull, push, should. Try that.
Pull, push, pull, push.
And now the other one, should. Yeah, feel it in the back more.
Should.
Pull, push, should. Slightly in the back a little bit more, right? So we have schwa, should. And then I have should. I should be able to feel that a little bit in the back, right? Whichever one you choose is fine, but just knowing the differences, I think is more like, okay, this is the one that I'm doing, and all the other words with schwa, all the other words with the horseshoe, they're going to be better for that too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
interesting. Well, I didn't realize that schwa and the horseshoe are that close.
I know, right? They're probably the two
Yeah.
closest between, besides the
Uh,
schwa and the short I. You're like, okay, even that's easier. It's that schwa and that horseshoe. They are so close. But if you guys can make, not just you, if anybody can make the difference between those two and really like get the muscle memory for both of those, everything else is easy. You know, everything else is super easy. So yeah, I would say like fantastic job today with the intonation, with the vowels. I don't even think we had any real consonant issues except maybe that dark L, and that was something new that we didn't talk about. What for you today was really interesting or a nice little takeaway for today?
uh, well, I guess this uh I don't know, the bureau. I've said this word so many times, and now I understand. I don't know how to say it. It's a it's very difficult word. Yeah, I will go back to the drawing board and and try.
Well,
'Cause I've never realized that there's this situation going on with back and forth between and schwa.
why would you, right? Nobody teaches this in school, and it's such a minor little detail. Of course, we don't care, right? As long as communication is there. But now that you're really polishing and you wanna like have all the little tricks in your bag, I feel like I wanna tell you as much as you're willing to like soak up and absorb. So I love talking to you, and I love sharing this with other people who don't get a chance to see all these little details in you and think, oh my God, there's more to it than I thought, you know? So yeah. Anything else you want to share for today?
Uh, yeah, no, I'm really excited about the script because yeah, now I have I'm gonna be much more confident going forward and reading it out loud and yeah, so yeah,
Totally.
that was very helpful
Oh,
and
perfect.
it's just interesting. Like the final thought, I guess, would be that it might seem like we cover so many like teeny tiny details, but I can tell you, and I'm sure a lot of people that. I've basically covered most of that in the space of just a couple of years, and not by learning every single day, but just kind of constantly keeping that in the back of your mind. It's a lot, but at the same time, it's not that much if you just consistent with that.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Awareness, I think, like just
besides,
keeping paying attention. Sorry, go ahead. You said besides.
yeah, besides, there are just so common mistakes that are common, say for Russian speakers or for Spanish speakers. When you cover those, when you get out of the way, and and like if you master that, that's already it could be like you can already have a 30% boost to your pronunciation already,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you can
That's a really good
polish
point.
the
Yeah.
details.
Key differences between the sounds of the language, absolutely. Like that you're going to just make the most progress there. That whole 80-20 thing, right? And then but then I want to pick out what you said
Mhm.
real quick is like you it's just a question of paying attention to things, right? Yeah, there's things you got to learn, but then it's just paying attention and repetition, focus repetition because it's muscle memory. It's just we want to get to automaticity, and that's the beauty is like, yeah, once you do the and the and things like that, and you have that knowledge, then we can say, oh, did you ever notice like there's a ghost of dark L in there? Oh, there's a baby schwa. And we forget that like we're building off of prior knowledge, just like language. Once you start getting those high frequency words and you got a good base, then you're like, oh, I never noticed this before. Oh, what's the difference between this and this? This one's the verb and this one's the noun. And like I feel like it's the same idea where you can really kind of capitalize on the momentum. So later, it's actually not that difficult, right? It's just the beginning, I think, that's the most difficult. I don't know if you'd agree with me, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Nice,
exactly. It's
nice,
just the
nice.
beginning. Once you hit the stride, yeah, you can't stop.
And hopefully you're like nerding into it like I am, right? Yeah, absolutely. So I love seeing you as much as we can. Now that you're moved there, you're getting a little bit more stable, then we're going to be able to continue these just to show people like, hey, it's not as hard as you think if you like we said, if you just get started. So thank you so much, Konstantin. Love seeing you, and maybe next time we'll talk about some
Yeah,
other
you
kind of
too.
current events. Yeah, talk to you soon. See you soon.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing
Bye.
you.